Welcome to Hope Through Depression with Focused Action. Imagine you've viewed the teaser to this speech and also the intro on my YouTube channel. So welcome back. Before we get into the speech, we'll talk just a little bit about COVID-19 because that does affect depression. So be sure that you're using your hand sanitizer to wash clean your hands before you put your mask on. Keep 6 feet apart. And, you know, when you're on SkyTrain, if you can't be 6 feet apart, you got to wear your mask. And August the 24th, it's a mandatory. You're going to have to. And keep 6 feet apart out there, wherever you are. And hopefully we will soon get through this pandemic and start to make some more progress here in British Columbia. Let's get right into hope through depression with focused action. I left you with a hook. I said at the end of the intro that I don't know how, but my grandfather affected me in my depression. How can that be? Because he died before I was born. Impossible, right? Well, this is how. When I would have a depression, I would have this feeling, this intuition that somehow my grandfather was affecting me. It stayed with me for quite a long time. I really wondered about it. Now, when I was growing up, my family would say our grandfather would be under a tree on a sunny day and look up at the clouds and feel peaceful. Peaceful from what? What went on in his life? And that was hard to find out. I asked questions of my family, but I didn't get too many answers. But I did hear that he died in an institution, Essendale, out in Coquitlam, BC. Now, trying to get information was really difficult, and I wanted to know, so I asked my doctor of many years' experience, is there any way that I could find out about that from Essendale? And he said no. A few years going ahead, I took some counseling at the UBC practicum at New Westminster High School. And I asked my counselor Ray about it, among other things, that is there a way to find out about that? And he said, yes, I've got this contact information for you. And I called, and they gave me the information. They gave me the address to write my letter to request it, because I'm the next of kin and I had the right, they told me. And then it arrived. Wow, it was big file, and I read all the way through it. Years later, I decided to change my content in my speech. I delivered this 13 times for the Mood Disorders Association of BC Speakers Bureau in various venues. And on this one time, I decided to add my family history. And I went back and I re-looked at this huge file. I didn't read the whole thing, but I did feel this great empathy and love for my grandfather, who I'd never met. And somehow it affected me. This is what happened for him. He owned a farm, he loved farming, and the government came in and they basically stole it. They took it, and it decimated him. He lost it. And he was diagnosed with schizophrenia, that is said in the file. And really difficult life for him. So much so that in the file, and I think my mom told me this, that he threatened to kill my dad, my grandma, my aunt, and my uncle. He didn't, but that was a lot to go through for my family. And that helped me to understand more about my dad, because he would have anger outbursts. And I remember one, I don't remember what we were discussing, but I remember what he said. He said, "Dummy up!" like I'm stupid, like I'm dumb. Now, years after counseling and 12-step programs, I came to realize he wasn't saying I was dumb. He was angry with his life. And I did a little research on if someone in your family has mental illness, how likely is it that you'll have it? Discovered that it's up to 5 times as likely. So that's enough about my family history. I'm going to move into the depressions that I went through. And I've given this speech many, many times, and I've changed it, the content and the delivery, and and I'm changing it today. Usually I talk about April 2013, which I will, but there's more about this person in my life. I'll make it confidential. We will title as Miss A. And when I graduated from BCIT, Broadcast Communications and Radio, my first radio gig was in Penticton, BC at Giant FM as the overnight announcer. Now, when I went up there in August of 2000, I came back for a very short visit in September. And Miss A, we had a relationship of 23 years. And at that time, we were in a love relationship. It was long distance, and it was understood. And we talked a lot in August to September on the phone. And we loved being together. We loved doing different things. I mean, she was deep in my heart, and I know I was deep in her heart because she expressed that in many ways. Well, when I came back in that September, just before I left, she said, "This isn't going to work." Well, I was disappointed. I felt really down. We didn't have a fight about it. It really took me down in energy. And the whole time I was up in Penticton, almost 3 years, I was battling situational depression. In 2002, about 7 days before Christmas, I got this email from her about going away. You see, she came up in 2001. We did keep relating, but we weren't in a love relationship. And that was hard, that email, just before Christmas. And then in 2009, I took a night school course, one night school course at Burnaby School Board. I came home and heard on my answering machine a message from her about, that's it. No message to call her back. But in 2010, the year of the Olympics, I come home from job searching, and the mail comes through my mail slot, and I look when I come in the door, and there it is, a letter with her address on it. I say, oh my goodness, what's going on? She was apologizing and wanted to see me. And there's a lot of story to that, but we got back together. Now, April 2013, she goes to Mexico with a wedding for her sister. And when she returns, she lets me know she wants to reconnect. I wait, and finally I phone. Shortly into the conversation, all of a sudden she says, "Earl, I've got to go. Earl, I've got to go." Shocked me. I was so glad there was a friend I could talk to that night and just let it all out. I was in a bad state. And months later, that friend told me, "Well, you said I was holding you up." Yes, she was holding me up because I was sinking. 2013 was very difficult. I had a lot of physical symptoms. Now, I know that I've gotten better because some of them are hard to remember. The one that isn't hard to remember is from April all the way to November of that year, I had dull chest pains once a month. It's really difficult. I had suicidal thoughts without any action. My sleep was really disturbed. It was hard to be focused. The appetite was really reduced. I didn't feel like eating. One good thing did happen in that year. I have about 6 to 7 years of customer service experience. And I landed a job in Langley at Power to Change, Christian organization with about 11 different departments. It was good for me because it got me out of this apartment and out that door and into an atmosphere where I had to do something and learn. I knew the computer. I'd done customer service, but I learned their system. And it was great because there was no quotas to fill. I was raising funds for different departments. And it was exciting when I brought some money in, and I did. And I got affirmed by my supervisor, Kathy. And they didn't know I was going through that, but it really helped. Really started me moving towards hope. And in 2014, I went to my first meeting of the Mood Disorders Association of BC at the Sherbrooke Centre in Sapperton, close to Royal Columbian Hospital. I remember that first meeting, and they asked me to introduce myself, do you want to talk? And I was hesitant, but I did. And I know months later, individuals would say, wow, you've really changed. I remember when you first came, you were speaking and talking. It was like you were bouncing off the walls, just all over the place. I decided after that first meeting that, as I was waiting for the community bus, that I would research situational depression and depression. And I have. Also, what happened in 2014, I took the Bounce Back program, free program of Canadian mental health with 6 booklets on depression. And after each booklet, I talked to a telephone counselor. So I was moving closer to getting some hope in my life. Then also in that year, 2014, at Rogers Arena, there was a night of hope. How wonderful. I needed some hope. Joel Osteen and his group from Houston, Texas, came up with a night of inspiring music, inspiring stories, and what I remember most, standing in the upper seats of Rogers Arena, and Joel said, what drives you, what gives you your deepest pain will drive you to your higher destiny. I couldn't imagine a higher destiny because all I had was the tears, the pain, and we're going to see how that played out. Then in the next year, 2015, in October, from October to March, I went back to the UBC practicum at New Westminster High School for student counseling, supervised student counselor. And I could swear that she didn't seem like a student to me. She seemed like a really great counselor. The only thing I did know that partway through, she'd take a couple or 3 minutes and go consult and come back. She was great because she brought out of me what I needed to deal with. But I knew it would end, in the following March. Then I discovered a book by a neuroscientist who's now studied the brain for about 38 years. She really knew what she was talking about. I read that book. There's a 21-day brain detox program in there. I started to work on it. But of course, you got to give the book back to the library after taking it out. And then I bought the book. And then I asked a lot of questions about taking this program, and I took it from May 16th May 2016 to May 2017, 1-year program. And this is how the program worked. You identify your toxic thoughts. What's up there? What's giving you the pain? You write in the journal. You also write a positive, healthy thought at the end. And in that 10 to 15 minutes, Dr. Leaf gives a very short video on how the brain works in a certain aspect of it. Now, this was the toxic thought that I had. This was the number one. It's not verbatim, but this is the idea. My heart's broken. How can I ever live again? How can I ever be happy again? I'm almost overwhelmed. How? And this is the number one positive, healthy thought. And I discovered it through listening to the Dare to Dream internet radio program with Debbie Dashinger. And she had May McCarthy on from Seattle, Washington on a business interview. And at the last segment of that interview, May McCarthy shared the forgiveness mantra. So this is number one. Number one positive, healthy thought is, I bless you, Miss A. I forgive you, Miss A. And I released you, Miss A. And that's over 48 months ago. I am grateful for the positive, healthy thoughts that I've written. They help me to change my thinking, get to optimism and hope, be wanting to share this story because there's so much need out there. You may be thinking, oh, he's full of hot air. I can't get better. But there is hope because when you take a little bit of action, you can move forward to hope rather than moving backwards and staying in bed and not doing anything. It is really important to do that. Now, you know, I'm moving forward, and I thought I found a relationship that would work. We were having a good summer. Confidentiality again, Miss M. And somehow there was a communication that went on. And I was sure I understood what she said. And she sounded like she knew and she understood what she told me. But when I arrived at her place, I found out I was totally out of it. I didn't understand a thing, and she hadn't communicated clearly. And very upset. Shorten the story up, that I tried to talk to her about it, but she got busy, conveniently or whatever, and she didn't want to talk about it. About 4 months later, we were able to sit down, and I found out that she said, I am not capable of being in a relationship. And I didn't dig for more. A few weeks later, I found out that she really appreciated that. So I was going through a depression then. That whole thing in that summer of 2017. And I thought, well, I can never give a depression recovery speech again. It would be ridiculous. I keep getting depressed. Well, I had already volunteered for the Toastmasters International Convention, first time in Vancouver, and I did different chores, different tasks. But the one I didn't have to do anything for was the International Speech Contest. And Kevin from Florida, he spoke, and he spoke about his daughter who had a really difficult time speaking. She couldn't speak. And they went to the therapist. He gave us the whole story. His message was, keep speaking that message. And it hit me right in the heart. I knew it. I had to keep speaking that message. And it really inspired me, and I continued to do that. Now, we are coming up to a close. But I want you to get the idea, too, that even getting more optimistic and getting better, that doesn't mean depression will take a holiday and never come at me again or at you again. It's it's using your skills. It's using what you've learned, because depression will try to bring you down. The other day, my energy went down. I have the skills. I can bounce back up again. So in conclusion, there is hope. We can change. We can get better. And in that hope, there are resources. And wherever you are, like I'm in BC, so there's a couple of health authorities. Vancouver Coastal Health Authority, Fraser Health Authority, wherever you are, there's a health authority. Reach out to them and ask, how can I get help for depression? You can talk to a trusted friend. You may be that trusted friend later. You will get better. You can be there for someone else. You can go to the Here to Help website, www.heretohelp.bc.ca. In Vancouver here, you can call 811 or 211. If you're in the school, you can talk to your school counselor. So there's a lot of hope. Now, you also have a story. You can share your story one-on-one, or you may have public speaking skills. Toastmasters has helped me a lot in framing up the content and everything. And they helped me a lot in teaching me how not to lose an audience. I don't want to lose you because I'm coming up to the conclusion. And one important fact of this is that you can choose a higher power, or you can choose not to have a higher power. It's your choice. You can choose the whales, or you can choose your big toe. But there's a choice. It's what you think is really important. That's what Dr. Leaf talks about. When you think something, you become it. Your mind is very important. And I chose my higher power. My higher power is Jesus. And I had to do the work when I was doing this 21-day brain detox. And I have to continue to do the work. And he comes in and he helps and he encourages me. And I'm so grateful for him and for the 21-day brain detox program. In my final conclusion, this is important. Change is possible because I believe and I do not doubt. In the last few times when I've been presenting this presentation live, I get the audience to chime in and do this together. And on 3, I can't see you doing it, but you can do it right now. You can choose to do it. And on 3, we're going to do it. That change is possible because I believe and I do not doubt. Now, 1, 2, 3. Change is possible because I believe and I do not doubt. I wish you success in your journey with your challenges. Thanks for tuning in and being here with me.